Today on America's Court with Judge Ross.
You didn't know about the child either.
Had no idea until my friend Susie called me and said, I just saw Patrick at the grocery store with a woman and a child, and the child was, Daddy, Daddy, and the woman's, honey, this and that. And she said, I thought you guys were exclusive. And I said, no, we are definitely exclusive.
In my courtroom, it's about equity and fairness. You want him to pay $628.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, knock my socks off. Justice should be more than just some foreign concept. I actually want you to learn something. The law talks about something may in fact be true, but can they prove it? And that's what's tough.
Fair, firm, compassionate. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Brooke Chapman claims her boyfriend broke her cell phone and got her suspended from work because she exposed their romantic relationship to his wife. Ms. Chapman is suing Patrick Quaid in the amount of $2,000. Mr. Quaid claims the cell phone was accidentally broken, and he only told Ms. Chapman's boss the truth. Mr. Quaid is countersuing for $1,000.
All rise. Remain standing and come to order. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Kevin Ross presiding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
All parties been sworn, Your Honor.
Third, get up to Thomas. Ms. Chapman, you're suing for $2,000. Mr. Quaid, you're countersuing for $1,000. The two of you were in a relationship, and things got a little dicey. Ma'am, let me start with you.
Well, my name is Brooke Chapman, and I was dating the defendant here, Patrick,
How
for
long
about
were the two
7
of you?
months.
7 months
Yeah,
of dating.
7 months, and he was like the ultimate romantic. He would buy me flowers, bring me chocolates, like he was sweeping me off my feet. I thought maybe this guy was like the one.
Right.
And
Mr.
he traveled.
Quaid, there were some things, though, you didn't reveal to Ms. Chapman, correct?
Well, to be honest, Your Honor, I just didn't think that we were...
let's try that. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. Let's just throw caution to the wind.
Yeah, I'm feeling that. I mean, we just weren't at a place that was serious enough to reveal some things about my past.
No, there's just one thing in particular.
Yeah, I was married with a child, but we were on were on a split. We were broken up at the time.
You were separated. You're claiming.
Yes, sir. We were separated.
But you were legally married.
Yes, sir.
And did you tell Ms. Chapman that you were legally married but officially separated?
I did not, Your Honor. I just didn't feel like...
reason why, sir?
I mean, you know...
I know, it was a little inconvenient. Huh?
It was a little inconvenient. I mean, honestly, the only reason that I was still with my wife at the time was we were trying to make things normal for our son.
I understand. And a lot of couples are dealing with that.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily want the child to come from a broken or divorced home. Did he explain that to you?
No, he didn't tell me anything.
You didn't know about the child
Had
either.
no idea until my friend Susie called me and said, I just saw Patrick at the grocery store with a woman and a child, and the child was, Daddy, Daddy, and the woman's, honey, this and that. And she said, I thought you guys were exclusive. And I said, no, we are definitely exclusive. And so I called him up right away.
And you weren't wearing a ring?
No, Your Honor,
Okay.
I was not wearing it.
All right. And how long were you separated?
It had been about a year at this point when we met.
What's the current status between you and your wife?
Right now, we're actually trying to work back through it and keep it together.
You made a decision to legally separate or just...
It was more just between us.
The two of you. You were still living in the home?
I had an apartment, but I also lived at home some, again, just
You
to
had
kind of
actually
keep up.
moved out?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Half and half, I would say.
And had you ever visited him at the apartment?
Yeah, he
Okay.
had me over, made me dinner.
Did you deny when she said to you, are you married?
No, Your Honor, I did tell her. I at first tried to just avoid it because I didn't think it was a conversation we should have. But
Who should be having that conversation?
well, someone that, you know, I think that if we had kept dating and gotten more serious, that it would have been something that came up, obviously.
You were seeing her for 6 months. At what point do you tell someone, FYI, I'm married, I don't know if it's going to work out, I have a child?
Just got to feel it out. I would say maybe...
You got to feel it out.
Feel it out,
Another
yeah.
6 months, a year, 2 years go by. Let's
Probably
just-
by then, yes.
Yeah, I
Yes,
see.
Your Honor.
Okay, I get it. I get it. This really affected you.
Absolutely.
I get it. We are here because you're suing based on monies that you lost as a result of your work, and there was something
cell
about
phone?
a phone.
My
Let's
cell
talk
phone.
about the phone. What happened with the phone?
So I told him that his wife should know about me. It's only fair from woman to woman. A woman has a
Your
right
Honor,
to know.
She was following me at the time. When this happened, when she's telling me, was actually after I caught her tailing me in my car driving to work.
All right.
So,
I know, how dare her be deceiving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Who does she think she is?
Yeah. Exactly.
Exactly.
I know, I hate when people do that. All right, go ahead.
So when he said he would not, he refused to tell his wife, I said, well...
You had a conversation with him about telling his wife. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor. I mean, as soon as she
Because
found out...
if you and your wife are clear that you're separated, and she says you're seeing me for 6 months, does she know? And when she broaches that subject, what do you say, sir?
Well, we had honestly kind of ended it because she kind of went a little crazy about the whole thing, so...
She went a little crazy when she found out you were lying to her.
Yes, sir.
Got
yes,
it.
Sir.
Coming up on America's Court.
If you're following him in another car, you are...
Following him.
Right.
I felt stalked, I know that much, for sure.
And later.
What exactly did Charlie do to you?
He scratched me, Your Honor.
You don't believe Charlie scratched him?
No, Your Honor, I don't.
Closed captioning provided by... If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Brooke Chapman, who is suing Patrick Quaid for property damage and lost wages.
Why did you start following him?
So I was following him home from work.
Why?
So that I could find out where he lives so I could tell his wife what's going on.
All right, it's crazy.
So I'm following him, and we come to a stoplight, and he sees me. So he motions to pull over. We pull over, get out of the car, and he's like, why are you following me? You're stalking me. And I'm like, no, I'm not stalking you. I want you to tell your
Well,
wife.
you are kind of stalking him at that point.
100%.
I don't think it's stalking. I think it's being honest to someone who doesn't know what's going on. I was already treated in a way
Well, you
that
may
was dishonest.
justify why you're stalking him, but if you're following him in another car, you are...
Following him.
Right.
I felt stalked, I know that much, for sure.
When she pulled over, what did you say to her?
She just started telling me she's going to tell my wife, she's going to tell my wife about us, and, you know, I'm like, us? You don't have to worry, there's no more us, you know, to be told about. And she pulled out a phone and said, well, I've got her information here, I've got her information, I'm going to let her know. So I did grab the phone from her hand.
Stop. You grabbed something that didn't belong to you.
Yes, sir.
Correct? Mm-hmm. And then what happened with the phone?
Well, she tried to grab it back and basically just knocked it out of my hand.
How dare her want her own phone back after it was taken from her by you?
I was surprised as well. She just knocked it out of my hand.
I am shocked. And as a result, what?
As a result, my phone went flying onto
knocked
the
it
ground
out of
and
my
shattered.
She knocked... It's her fault that her own phone was destroyed.
Well, I mean, when you put it that way, but...
It is that way.
But
The
yeah,
phone
I mean, I
breaks.
guess so.
The phone
because
breaks. Done.
And how much is the phone valued at?
$600.
You have proof of that?
I do.
Let me see it. You don't think you should have to pay for the $600 phone because?
I mean, just because of it building up to that point that she was even
Wrong
following
answer. Why shouldn't you pay for the phone?
Because she knocked it out of my hand.
Wrong answer. Why shouldn't you not pay for the phone?
Because...
Exactly.
Yeah, I can't
You will
really-
be paying at least $600. That we know. We start there. Okay. Now, we also have the additional $1,400, Miss Chapman. What's the deal with that?
So the next day, I followed him again, and I got to his house, this huge suburban home. And I had a letter addressed to his wife. I stamped it and everything, and put it in the mailbox.
Okay. What's the additional $1,400 for?
So the next day, I get to work, and apparently, Patrick had called my boss and said that I was stalking him and his wife and his child, and that I was crazy, and I needed to be mentally monitored. And so...
What type of work you do?
I work in a prison. I'm a correctional officer.
You had to deal with the consequences of that.
That is correct.
Because you really are now bordering on behavior, which I understand. But it becomes a point where your behavior starts looking unstable.
I don't feel like I crossed that line.
Where's the $1,400
So,
difference?
because he called my boss put me on a 2-week suspension, and I lost overtime, which is where I make most of my money.
What's your $1,000 for?
Just the
torment and
the torment that I went
abuse
through.
and stress that you had to go through dealing with the consequences of hurting someone.
But, Your Honor,
I'm just trying to figure out.
I don't
is
feel
what you
that
want?
I hurt her, though. That's the whole thing.
I'm just asking you. You want to be awarded $1,000 because of what she put you through.
Yes, sir.
I understand.
Okay.
Based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, let's start with your counterclaim. That's not going to happen. The $1,400, I'm not inclined to award you for those monies because the behavior was starting to go into another direction. As it pertains to that phone, he had no business taking it from you. You are entitled to the $600, so you've met your burden regarding that amount. That is the order. Case closed.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $600.
I'm happy I got the $600, but I want every woman to know Patrick Quaid is married. Call me a stalker, but I am not crazy.
I'm glad I saw her true colors before things got real serious. I would gladly pay $600 and not have to see that woman again.
And coming up on America's Court with Judge Ross.
What exactly did Charlie do to you?
He scratched me, Your Honor.
You don't believe Charlie scratched him?
No, Your Honor, I don't.
Closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Christopher Wilson claims his neighbor's cat is a nuisance who ruined his garden and attacked him. Mr. Wilson is suing Barbara Maloney in the amount of $850.98. Ms. Maloney claims her cat isn't a nuisance and blames the plaintiff for her cat ending up in a shelter. Ms. Maloney is countersuing for $158.79.
You're suing Miss Maloney because of the injuries you sustained from her cat, and you're suing because he had your cat sent to the shelter.
Yes, Your
and you
Honor.
want $158.79 back for those costs. Let's talk about your $850.98. What were your injuries for, sir?
I was simply out gardening one day when her
Yes.
cat attacked me.
And you had seen the cat before or no?
I have seen all of her several cats many times.
She has lots of cats.
Yes.
Is that true, ma'am? You have lots of cats?
No, Your Honor.
How
I
many
have
cats do
only
you have?
2 cats.
All right. Are there cats that congregate with the 2 cats that you have?
Yes.
No, one cat is only strictly indoor cats. She
Okay.
wouldn't even go out.
All right.
And the other one, my Charlie, he likes to go out and he enjoys the outdoors.
Is Charlie the one that you're saying caused
Charlie
injury?
is the aggressive cat.
He was the aggressive cat. How long have the 2 of you been neighbors?
Unfortunately, for the 5 long years.
You see how he is, Your Honor?
Why do you say unfortunately for 5 long years? What was wrong with
Because
Miss
I've
Maloney?
been there for 12 years.
Yes.
And
everything was fine until this one came over there and started causing
Exactly, Your
problems.
Honor. This,
Apparently.
And what is it that she's doing that's so disruptive?
she allows
Your
these
Honor.
many mangy cats to
Just hang out.
hang out, live on her property. You asked the question, how many cats does she have? She says 2. I really find that hard to believe because I can count to 2, but
You can count it to you. There's 1, there's 2.
2, and then there's
Just because,
3, 4, and 5.
Your Honor, just because he sees so many cats doesn't mean they're all mine.
Well, that's true. But are there other cats near or around your
Yes,
property?
Your Honor, of
Okay.
course.
Well, then
There-
he's
And
not.
she's very inviting to them. She
How so?
feeds them.
But the only cat we're in conversation about right now is Charlie, right?
Yes,
It's
because
not
Charlie
like the
caused
other
me-
cat, because you know who Charlie is. The other cats didn't do anything to you, did they?
No.
No. You're saying something happened between you and Charlie.
Right.
Tell me what happened.
He didn't want to leave me to my gardening.
All right.
My medical bills, as you saw, are $850.
No, I saw
I'm sorry,
the
I
amount,
have-
but I don't have any proof of that. What exactly did Charlie do to you?
He scratched me, Your Honor.
Okay. That's what we're here about. We are here about the scratch that Charlie allegedly inflicted
he
upon
claims,
him.
yes.
You don't believe Charlie scratched him.
No, Your Honor, I don't.
Coming up on America's Court.
So it took me a few days to find
Why didn't you
Charlie.
tell her where Charlie was?
Because I wasn't very anxious to see Charlie come back.
Closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Christopher Wilson, who is suing Barbara Maloney for personal injury and medical expenses.
Show me your proof of your damages, sir.
Let's give me all your evidence, please, Judge. Photos, the whole bit.
Just hand it all to Deputy Thomas. He's a big
There he
boy.
is. This is what I
We'll
do.
sort it out.
Thank you, sir.
And how did the cat actually scratch you, sir?
Just swiped at me.
Just.
Yeah, but rapidly.
You were just out there minding your own business, and the cat went.
Yeah, with my gardens. After I tossed a shovel, I was trying to nudge it away with the gardening shovel.
You didn't say that. I said, how did it happen? And you said the cat. The cat was responding to something you were doing.
Yeah, I don't know if he thought I was playing or something.
Okay, but what did you do to the cat?
I didn't do anything other than try to nudge it away.
Okay, and the cat responded with, right?
Yes.
And when the cat did that with his paw, where did the paw land?
Right above the glove, Your Honor.
You were wearing gloves.
Yes.
I'm looking at your arm now. Okay, that's pretty severe. You have to have sutures. You had to be tested, emergency room. Other than the visual wound, sir, were you okay?
Yes.
Your insurance covered some of it.
But
You had to be taken away in an ambulance?
Yes, Your Honor, I don't drive. And
Okay, but that makes sense. Say no more. You don't drive. You had the cat picked up. You called the animal services.
yes, because I didn't know this cat even belonged to somebody. No collar.
You were doing so well. You've been living next door to the cat for 5 years. You knew it was Charlie. And you call animal services.
Okay.
And now you're saying he should have to pay you because animal services, ma'am, kept Charlie.
Yes.
And you had to pay those costs.
Yes, Your Honor. And I didn't even know where it was, which county. It turned out, after so many phone calls I made, because he didn't tell me, that it was taken to the next county. So it took me a few days to find
Why didn't you tell her
Charlie.
where Charlie was?
Because I wasn't very anxious to see Charlie come back.
Judge Ross's verdict when America's Court returns. You're watching America's Court with Judge Ross. This is America's Court with Judge Ross.
It's unneighborly that you wouldn't at least say, you know what, I had to call animal control on Charlie because he did this to me. You want him to pay the $158.79
Yes, Your Honor.
for the time that Charlie spent with animal control.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's not going to happen. Not today. Not up in here. Your matter's dismissed. As to your claim, sir, for $850.98, I do believe you have met your burden. You are going to have to pay him for the damages that the cat sustained to the tune of $850.98. That is the order. Case closed.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $850.98.
I'm happy with Judge Ross's decision. I hope in the future that my neighbor keeps her cat in her yard and on a shorter leash.
I think it's unfair that I have to pay for my neighbor's injuries as well as paying for the fees for the animal control, which he caused for me.
Follow America's Court on Facebook and Twitter. This has been a production of Entertainment.